Larry Fedoruk on News Talk 610 CKTV.
The Government of Ontario is planning to move ahead with plans to implement a new pension in this province, the Ontario Retirement Pension Plan. Well, sounds like a good idea, but now there's concern in the business community about this new plan, and might it negatively impact the economic competitiveness and job creation in Ontario and Niagara specifically. Joining us to talk about that, the interim CEO of the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce. He's Dave Shaw. Hello, Dave.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for having us in here today.
Also in the studio, policy analyst with the Chamber, Jeremy Meyerink. Hello, Jeremy.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Excellent. Dave, maybe I'll start with you. Concerns on this, and tell me some of your initial concerns when you first heard about this plan.
Well, I think on the base level, anytime government is proposing the creation of a new level of bureaucracy, it would be alarming to the members of the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce. And in this case, we're looking at out of thin air the creation of a $3.5 billion arm of the government. From nothing. This isn't something that's being amended. This is something that's being built from scratch. And the interesting thing about it is that the funding is going to be taken from an equal split of the employee and the employer. In this case, to the tune of 1.9% tax on payroll from each. So every employee working for an Ontario-based corporation or every employer is going to have to fork out another 1.9% to fund this Ontario pension plan.
Isn't it just the bigger companies, though, that would probably have pension plans available, and could they afford it?
Well, I don't even know where to begin on this. The total premise that this has been built on is, that a significant majority of our aging population is not entering the retirement years, so to speak, with enough income to maintain their lifestyle. And the data does not support that, which throws the whole methodology out the window, makes it challenging to rebuild the puzzle.
It's interesting, and I don't know, Dave, if you want to continue that, or Jeremy, you want to pop in, because that's all we hear. There's just not enough money there, but that does seem to resonate with people. Yeah, I'm not going to have enough money when I choose to retire.
Right. Well, a lot of the studies we've been looking at with the McKinsey & Company, they have done their studies, and they say a large majority of Canadians and Ontarians are actually on track to maintain their standard of living. So, when you see data like this, and then the Ontario government sort of has this broad stroke policy to affect all of Ontarians, it just raises a few concerns with the business community. I mean, is this the right move, considering that there is research out there that states maybe their information wasn't as accurate as they thought it was. Okay. Now, you guys have had, I don't know if you guys specifically, you've had consultations with the Ministry of Finance in this province? Yeah, we were just last Friday. Associate Minister Mitzi Hunter was down, and myself, as well as a few representation of the GNCC, went down to Grimsby at the Station 1 Coffee House, and we voiced our concerns. The consultation was a bit more of just them sort of reaching out to us and just listening to our concerns. We didn't get a lot of feedback from it, unfortunately. Sorry, just to clarify, and I'll be the beacon of truth on this thing. In terms of seeking out our guidance or input on this project, there's been nothing meaningful. At the end of the day, the underlying tone on this is what we're doing, and thanks for the time to meet, but the membership that was there at this meeting last week went to attend and participate and give input, but it certainly wasn't. It was going through the motions. Whoever's driving this couldn't make it any clearer that the thoughts and needs and input of the business community in Niagara, let alone the province, is not wanted or desired or appreciated in any any way. But at some point they will say we consulted with local. And so that's the exercise. But truth is, there's no interest in our input on this. Really. And I guess on the flip side, what's disappointing is that the organizations that you think would typically support this, you'll go to the unions and a lot of the social networks are supporting it based out of concept. But I wish they would dive into this and take a look and see how are there people that can actually benefit out of this, because the reality shows
it's not something that's going to benefit them. There's so many things up in the air that the people this is going to impact, it's just so ill-defined that there's no measurable.
When you say so many things up in the air, give me a couple of examples.
Who's going to collect this money? How are they going to get it? We know that the money's going to leave, but who's going to get it on the tail end of it? Right? The average worker out there is going to pay another $50 a month a tax to the government to create this bureaucracy. When are they going to see that money back? Who's it actually going to benefit? Right? Mm-hmm. We've got lots of concerns. I mean, I was speaking with Betty Lou Suter the other day, and she's walking me through some of the plights of people as they approach their golden years. And, you know, women over the age of 65 are really encountering significant lifestyle changes for a number of different reasons, from broken marriage to just, you know, retirement. And, you know, this coming from Betty Lou is a very real and very tangible and, you know, measurable problem. However, we're dealing with a province who's rolling out this big blanket thing without telling us how it's going to pay out or who it's going to benefit. They're not defining it. So it sounds great on paper, and it's easy to support if you believe in the holistic whole good of everybody, which we all do. But,
of course we do, yeah. And I would like more money when I retire.
But what they've done a terrible job of is defining how they're going to pay this out. How does this benefit? And it shouldn't be just the business community demanding for those kind of answers. It should be everybody saying, okay, you're going to give us a tax. You're going to take $50 a month off the average worker's paycheck. You're going to go to, you know, Paul Spack at Henry Pelham and, you know, add 2% cost to his payroll. You're going to go up to the AOS group in Grimsby and you're going to take $2,500 a month off their bottom line. Well, that's a job. Right. So we want to know, on behalf of all of our members and on behalf of the community, where is this investment going to pay out? And who's going to get it? And how are they going to get it?
Okay, by the way, you guys can't be the only ones asking these questions. Do you know this? Are other chambers and other governments asking
Man, how many submissions have there been on this, Jeremy?
Over 800 submissions right now to the Ministry of Finance regarding the ORPP alone. Now, I can't say to what extent are those positive or negative, but I know that when you see submissions of this number, it's alarming. I mean, it's got to raise a few flags within the ministry, and a few flags just for the people that are following this. 800 submissions is nothing to scoff at.
Right, and just to be clear, we are talking about, you know, take the example of $50 that I'm putting in. My company has to match that.
Correct.
So that company has to find $50 suddenly.
Yeah. So
times the employees times.
Right. You got it.
So what we're looking at, the average household income, $76,000 according to recent studies.
Yeah.
So what that equals is just under $1,500 a year for the average family. So over $100 a month of money that you could be putting into your own savings, your own sort of retirement plan. This is now forcing you to put it into an arm's length government institution, and you don't know what's going to happen to it. Instead of having your own control over your own money, you're now, I mean, if you make, I believe it's about $34,000 a year, you're already paying $10,000 of that into taxes and other payments. Mm-hmm. So this is just even more on top of that. That's leaving your wallet. Well, it doesn't even get to your wallet. It's gone before you even see it. And, you know, who knows when you're actually going to get the reward.
Was part of the problem, though, that people weren't doing that? You know, that people weren't taking that $50 a month? So, though they should be, they weren't, so we have to force them to do it?
And this is the most basic premise, is, hey, you know what, we've got this aging segment of the population that's not saving appropriately. And if you don't question the logic, it makes perfect sense. So the plan then is to force them to save, right? I get it. They're not saving on their own, so we'll do it for them, which, you know, some people might have some issues with on that alone. But you dig into it, and it doesn't hold water. That argument doesn't hold water, statistically speaking. And there are a number of groups who have done the economic studies, and what you would find when you dive into them is that there is a segment of the population that is having a problem keeping their lifestyle up at retirement. And it tends to be the upper middle class who are making a lot of money and spending a lot of money, who will have a hard time maintaining that lifestyle. But the reality is that Joe Blow on the street, you know, again, it's all averages, and everybody knows someone who's not. I don't want to diminish the people in society that are having issues, but the law of averages shows that this is not a problem across the spectrum. So what we've got is a province who has provincial government has created a blanket solution for a problem that likely requires a laser-precise, targeted approach.
I need a fairly short answer to this, because the way you've painted the picture here is this is going ahead. You guys are complaining. There's hundreds of inquiries into this, but yet it's going ahead. So, I mean, what do you do? What do you do next?
Well, we've handed in submissions. Like I said, there are all the submissions out there. As far as people's advocating for this, I encourage you just to contact your ministry, contact your local representation, and just get the message out there. Let people know that this affects every person in Ontario, every business, every worker. They're all seeing the effects of this, so we should all have a say on it. I mean, when we do these consultations, maybe we're not feeling that we're getting traction with this, so we'd like some more engagement with it.
Right.
It's being jammed down our throats.
Right.
That's what's happening.
But we could gain some traction if enough people speak up, you feel.
Yeah, people need to start asking questions.
Right. Interesting. Gentlemen, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
All right. Dave Shaw is Interim CEO of the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce, and Policy Analyst with the Chamber is Jeremy Meyerink.